Yo guys, welcome back to episode 5 of this tutorial series where we are making a simple 2D platformer. I hope you guys' games are coming along very well, and I hope these tutorials are actually being very helpful to you. I just want to address something in the last episode. There was a mistake, actually. There was a bit of code that wasn't working properly, and for those of you who caught it, it was this bit here, where we were trying to flip the enemy, so I'll show you what it does now. When it loads, when he now turns around, he'll actually flip around, which is actually something that I haven't implemented in the controller, which is not working at the moment. And I know why that is. But yes, make sure you always set can move to true if we're implementing that variable. Anyway, which is something we didn't implement in the controller, the flipping. So we can actually do that exactly the same way. So if we just copy that, come into movement, and just here, going if horizontal input is greater than 0, so running right, about there, we can do all of that, and then copy that, change this to an else if horizontal input is less than 0, so running left, we'll set this to -1, and that should be, I think that should be it. It should just be that simple to this one down there like that. Make sure the code is like neat, basically. Go back into Unity, and fingers crossed we should see that now when we run right and left, our player will flip the correct way, which it does, which is good. Okay, another thing I didn't do in the last video was animations for the enemy. So, what we want to do is when can move is false, so if can move, we want to make an else, then we need the animator. We need the animator of the enemy, so animator like that, enemy animator like that. Copy, so we're going to do enemy animator.setBall. And then if you go to whatever you set your ball of your enemy, so mine is simply just running, copy that in, set that to false, like that. And then if it can move, then we want to set it to true. Like that. And simple as that, we've now fixed any problems that we would have had in the last episode. If anybody caught them, if anybody was struggling with them, I do apologise. I hope this does help fix them. So, we need to apply the animator in. There we go. Right, now it should work. Sorry again. So yes, we saw the running. He's idle, and he's running again, and now he's idle. Perfect. So it's all working. So, what we are going to do today, or for the rest of the episode, I guess, is if we have a look at the asset pack, we're going to implement these spikes. So, let's get them in. They're going to be their own objects. Let's move them closer to us. There we go. I'm going to create an empty object called spikes, just to keep our hierarchical ordered, basically. And I'm going to move these under there, and we're also going to give all of these a collider. So if you type in collider, you'll see that there are different kinds of colliders that you can put on. We'll only be looking at the 2D ones because we're making a 2D game. However, if you're making a 3D game, you'll use the ones that don't say 2D on it. So where we've got a triangle, the closest one to a triangle that we do have is a polygon collider. So we will put that on, and you will see it automatically puts it all on there for us, so we don't need to do anything for that. Move this down so it's in line, looks a little bit better. Move that over. Cool. So next thing we want to do is we want to add a tag to it. So let's just call it spike. Spike. There we go. So now they both have the spike tag. So what we do next is we go into the controller, and we're going to have it so that other.gameObject.tag is equal to spike. We're going to have it so that if you touch a spike, you're just going to die. You're just going to die straight away. So we're going to do destroy this dot game object. Save that. Go back into our game. And that should be spikes out there. Very simple, very easy to set up. Nothing too tricky. Touch them, we die. But simple as. As you move them down a little bit, we can render them in front by just changing the order in layer to 1. Why there are spikes on the grass, I don't really know, but you know, we move. Okay, and the next thing I now want to set up, I'll show you guys how to set up really, is the flagpole, the finish pole. Yeah, we want to render that in front of the tile, so we change that to 1. And we're going to add a tag called finish. Oh. Exciting. There we go, can't put finish line. So finish line. Now back into here, let's just copy this bit. And finish line. Simple. So now if we play the game, we'll see if we touch the finish line. Oh, we forgot to do something. That was just add a box collider onto it. Edit that slightly so it fits more within the flagpole properly. And now if we run it, what we'll see is, oh, I've died. Let's try that again. What we'll see is if we touch the finish line, we should just spit. And what we're going to do later when we get into scene managements and stuff and then making levels, it will load into the next level, give you the option to play next level, all of that stuff. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to implement jumping on enemies' heads to defeat them and to kill them, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move the box collider of the enemy's head down a bit. And under this, we're going to create an empty, and we're going to just name it head, and we're going to add a box collider onto this. Okay, we want this to render just above the enemy so that when the player lands on him, make it quite small, make it not easy to kill the enemy. See that just on their head, if you get right on it, and then we will create a new tag called enemy head, like that. Of course, you don't have to do all the getting objects and collisions by tags. There are different ways. It's just my personal preference is tags. It makes everything so much easier. And then if you have multiple sort of enemies, different kinds of enemies, you can just put them all under one tag. So say we had 4 different kinds of enemies, so we can put them under one tag, and problem solved. You don't have to do it for every single specific one. Save that. Now we go to here. On collision, so we'll go to the enemy bit. We'll paste in that. And if it's enemy head like that, destroy other game objects like that. Let's just make sure that we got enemy head, and let's just play. And that didn't work. Now why is that? It seems like our player is actually interacting with the enemy instead. Let's try this. No, still. Might be because it is a child. So let's try colliding with this. And it does work. So to fix this, what we can do what could we do? We can go to the enemy controller. We can make a public game object head, so the head of the enemy, and we can do head.transform.position equals transform.position. So the head's transform position equals the enemy's transform position. We'll actually make it a new vector 2 .x and transform.position.y, and I'll show you use y. So if we see our y value of the player, oh, sorry, the enemy is minus 0.739. The head is also known. So actually, never mind. We can just do transform.position. I thought they'd be slightly different, but they're not. So it should make life a little bit easier. I need to assign the head value to the enemy. Come down here, drag this into here, like that. Press play. And now what we should see is the head element following the enemy. So now we jump on it, it deletes the head element and not the enemy. So after doing some playing around, I've actually come up with a decent solution, I think. So what you can do is you can put more than one collider onto one object at once. So I've added on another collider to the enemy, and what I've done is, if you have a look at this box, it is trigger. I've checked that on the second collider, and then moved it so it's just above the player's head. What a trigger does compared to a regular collider. In a regular collider, the two colliders, they collide, don't they? And then That's the interaction. With a trigger, you have one collider, which is normal, and then one which is a trigger. The normal one will just straight pass through the trigger and not have any interaction at all. But the sort of like pass through will be referenced and it counts as an interaction in a way. So what we can do is we can actually make a new function called void on trigger enter 2D, change this to other, then if, let's copy this like that, we can get rid of the and damaged, and then we can destroy other.gameObjects. Get rid of this one. Theoretically, if all goes well, that should fix it, but we will see. Let's play. Oh, I've ran into the spikes. Really need to get a reset function going. Let's try it. And it works. Finally. Anyway, that is the easiest way that I could find to implement the sort of Mario jumping on enemies style of game mechanics. With that though, that does wrap up this episode. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Please do like and subscribe. Leave comments down below on how your games are going, how you guys are finding these tutorials. I do apologise for the issues that I do have. As I have said multiple times, none of it is scripted and it's all off the top of my head. And I think what I'm trying to do is give you guys an insight as to what sort of things that I think about when making a game, what kind of order you need to develop everything, and what the easiest order to do all that is. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, please like and subscribe. Peace.